Good afternoon, ma'am. If you want to come to the podium right there where the microphone is. Stop right there. Raise your right hand. Be sworn by my clerk.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the evidence you are about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. Correct. Please have a seat in the witness stand. Speak in a loud and clear voice for me. State, you may proceed.
Thank you, Judge. Defense counsel, will you please turn and introduce yourself to the jury?
Hi, my name is Michelon Ciani. I work for the House Sheriff's Office as a forensic investigator.
And as a forensic investigator, we heard a little bit about that. What do you do for the Sheriff's Office?
I basically go to crime scenes and document the crime scenes as I see when I get there, and try to collect any evidentiary items of value and just make sure I document the scene.
And documenting the scene, does that include at times taking photographs?
Yes, sir.
And you also collect evidence that you find to be relevant or the detectives tell you to collect?
Yes, I do.
Now, did you respond to a scene at the intersection of Richboro and Pastoral Drive on January 23rd, 2018?
I did.
And when you got there, what were your responsibilities?
My primary responsibility was to videotape the scenes and to collect evidence from the secondary house.
Now, the secondary house, that would have been the one associated with the defendant.
Yes.
And we just heard from Ms. Severs, who was formerly Ms. Ryder. She documented the other residents,
Yes.
or collected the items from the other residents. Okay. Now, I want to talk to you about some of the evidence you collected within the defendant's residence. First of all, Judge, may I approach the witness?
You may.
For the record, as I've already shown, defense counsel states exhibits 77 through 83. As you're approaching the front door of the defendant's residence, were there two pin markers set up?
Yes, there was.
And was that pin markers A and B?
Yes.
And did you collect any items from pin marker A?
Yes, I did.
Now, I want to show you what's been previously marked as stage 77 for identification. You recognize that?
Yes, I did.
You know, what is that?
It's a magazine.
And when you say magazine, it's like a magazine you read?
No, it's a magazine that holds bullets.
Like a clip?
Yes.
Then you put it to a firearm?
Yes.
And where did you get this magazine from?
From a pen.
Now, when you recovered it, was it loaded?
I believe so.
And as part of your documenting the scene collecting evidence, do you take the ammunition out of this?
Yes, we do.
Now, this particular item, can you look in there and see if it appears to be in the same substantially similar condition as when you collected it?
Yes, can I get those?
Absolutely. Not take it out yet? Judge, at this time, state, I'm sorry, can you answer a little louder?
Yes.
At this time, state, like, new states exhibit 77 is the evidence.
Any objection?
No.
77 come in. You can help.
And if you could just take that out and hold it up to the jury. I'll turn your attention to state's exhibit 78. Can you tell me if you recognize this?
Yes, I do.
What is that?
They're the 9mm cartridges from the magazine.
And is that from the magazine we just admitted to evidence of state 77?
Yes.
So those cartridges were in state 77 when found.
Yes, they were.
Now, you and I say cartridges. Is that a fancy way to say unspent bullets that had not been fired?
Yes.
How many did you collect from that magazine?
12.
All right, and if you can look in there and see if it appears to be in the same, or they appear to be in the same similar condition as when you collected.
Yes, it is.
Judge, at this time to say, like, move state exhibit 78 in evidence.
Any objection?
Go ahead.
78 will be admitted.
Turning your attention to state 79, you recognize that item.
Yes, I did.
What is that?
It's a magazine from Pen B.
Pin B, that would have been a pin from a couple feet away from pin A.
Yes.
Now, can you look at there and tell me, is it in the same or substantially similar condition as when you collected it on January 23rd, 2018?
Yes, it is.
The judge at this time said, like, move state 79 into evidence.
Any objection?
None. And if you, and the judge makes you publish,
She may.
you can just pull that out and hold it up to the jury so they can see what we're talking about. Now, were there cartridges in that magazine when you found it?
Yes.
And did you unload it before you get back in?
Yes, I did.
I'd like to show you State's Exhibit 80 for identification. Do you recognize that?
Yes, I did.
And what is it?
There are 22 caliber cartridges.
And how many?
There's 8.
Were all 8 of those cartridges in State's Exhibit 79?
Yes.
Now, does this appear to be in the same or similar, substantially similar conditions when you collected it back on January 23rd, 2018?
Yes.
The judge at this time would like to move State's Exhibit 80 into evidence.
Any objection?
No.
80 will be in.
I'd like to turn your attention to State's Exhibit 81 for identification. Can you look at this? Actually, before we get there, I want to turn your attention to State's Exhibit 60 for identification. Could you look at this item and tell me if you recognize State's Exhibit 60?
Yes, I do.
And what is that item?
It is a 9mm Taurus, PT 111.
And is that firearm?
Yes.
Where'd you get this item from?
Just inside the front door.
And this publishing states 67. Is that the picture where you recovered this item, state 60?
Yes, it is.
And when you collected it, was it loaded?
Yes, it was.
I'd like to show you State's Exhibit 81. Recognize that?
Yes, I did.
And what is that?
It's a cartridge from the chamber, the 9mm.
So was State's Exhibit 81 in the chamber of State's 60 when you came in contact with it?
Yes, it was.
All right, and obviously you took State's 81 out and back separately.
Yes, I did.
Judge Saban would like to move State's Exhibit 60 and State's 81 into evidence.
Any objection? Will be so moved.
And in particular, State's 60, can you hold that up for the jury? Now, what is this red thing?
Are you talking about on this side?
I'm talking about the giant red thing.
The lock?
Yes.
It is the lock.
Right, and that's something that was added after you collected it?
Yes, it was.
And how about the white thing that goes through the chamber?
That is something that I brought out too.
Okay, and why are those items?
Just to keep the slide back so that it's in a safe position.
Okay, is that so that it can't be loaded and fired accidentally?
Yes.
Okay, but neither the lock nor the zip tie, the red lock, the white zip tie, neither one of those were on the item when you first encountered it?
Correct. They're on the home.
Okay.
And just so the jury knows, the firearm or the ammunition can go back, but they don't go back at the same time. So one will be in, one will be out. And if you want either knock, we'll switch. Okay? So we won't put both of them back there. Although I don't think you can get that lock off anyway, we just don't want.
I'll turn your attention to State's Exhibit 82 for identification. You recognize that?
Yes, I did.
And what is that?
It is the magazine from Penn State.
Now, I didn't bring this up before. Pin C. explain states 66 and 67. Those depict the front door area of the defendant's residence where the firearm was recovered.
Yes, it does.
Now, after these photographs were taken, did you put a pin C that is not pictured in either of these pictures by that firearm?
Yes, it did.
So when we reference pin C, although these pictures don't depict it, it would have been by that red flag right there?
Yes, it would.
So I'm sorry, you're telling us what State's Exhibit 82 is.
It's magazine from pin C, which is from the 9mm Taurus.
So was this magazine within State's 60 when you found State 60?
Yes, it was.
And was there ammunition within that magazine when you found it?
Yes.
Okay, now I want you to look at State's 82s that appear to be in the same or substantially similar condition as when you found it and took the ammunition out.
Yes, it does.
Judge, at this time, say we'd like to move State's Exhibit 82 into evidence.
Any objection? So moved.
Judge, permission to publish?
You may.
If you could just take that item out and hold it up. Thank you. Now I'm going to turn your attention to State's Exhibit 83 for identification. Do you recognize that item?
Yes, I do.
How do you recognize that?
It's my handwriting and my logo.
And what is it?
It is a 9mm cartridges from the magazine.
Now, how many are there?
There's 6.
Are these cartridges that came out of the magazine that we just saw in State's Exhibit 82?
Yes, it is.
State's Exhibit 82 was in State's Exhibit 60?
Yes.
So by extension, State's 83 was also in State 60
Yes, it was.
when you found it? Okay. Does it appear to be in the same or substantially similar condition as when you found it?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Judge, at this time, the state would like to move State's Exhibit 83 into evidence.
Any objection?
No, Judge.
So moved.
Now, I want to turn your attention to the garage area of that residence. Were there items of interest that you collected in the garage of the defendant's residence?
Yes, it is.
Now, specifically, on top of a freezer, was there a pin marker deed that was placed there?
Yes, it is.
All right, and I want to show you State's Exhibit 84 for identification. You recognize that?
Yes, I do.
And what is that?
It is a 22 caliber Taurus handgun, PT-22.
All right, can you look in there and tell me if it appears to be in the same or substantially similar condition as what you collected?
Yes, it does.
Okay. Judge, at this time, say we'd like to move State's Exhibit 84 into evidence.
Any objection?
No, ma'am.
Come in.
And when you collected this item, or when you found this item as you were collecting it, was it loaded?
Yes, it was.
I'm going to show you State's Exhibit 85. I'm sorry, did you display this to the jury? Okay, permission to publish State's 84.
You may.
You could just hold that up and show the jury. That one, is that one actually zip tied to the box?
Yes, it is.
Is that something that you did?
Yes.
Now, there's also a black zip tie. Was that there when you found it?
No.
Those things that were added afterwards for safety?
Yes, it was.
Okay. I'd like to show you State's Exhibit 85 for identification. Tell me what that is.
It's a 22 caliber cartridge from the chamber.
From the chamber of,
The handgun.
you just pointed to State's 84.
Yes.
So State's 85 was in the chamber of State's 84 when you found it.
Yes, it was.
Does State's 85 appear to be in the same or substantially similar condition as when you encountered it on January 23rd, 2018?
Yes, it is.
Judge, at this time, the state would like to move State's Exhibit 85 into evidence.
Any objection? You're also so moved.
I'd like to show you State's Exhibit 86 for identification. You recognize that?
Yes, I do.
And what is that item?
This is a 22 caliber magazine
And where did you find that item?
from ND, which is the gun.
Right, is that, and you just referenced the gun as State's Exhibit 84?
Yes.
So So State's Exhibit 86 was in State's Exhibit 84 when you found it on January 23rd, 2018.
Yes, it was.
All right, can you look at State's Exhibit 86 and see if it appears to be in the same or substantially similar condition as when you collected it?
It is.
All right, and Judge, at this time we'd ask to move State's Exhibit 86 into evidence.
Any objection? So moved.
Take that item out and show the jury. Now, when you first encountered this item, did it have cartridges in it?
Yes, it did.
I'd like to show you State's Exhibit 87 for identification. You recognize that?
Yes, I do.
And what is that?
There are 22 caliber bullets from the magazine.
And is that the magazine that we just entered into evidence as State's 86?
Yes, it is.
How many cartridges were there in the magazine?
8.
All right, are they in the same or substantially similar condition as when you collected them?
Yes, it is.
Judge, at this time, the state would like to move State's Exhibit 87 into evidence.
Any objection? Be so moved.
Now, so State's Exhibit 87 was in State's Exhibit 86, which was in State's Exhibit 84.
Yes.
85. Fire.
I'd like to show you what's already been entered into evidence as State's 8. If you look at this item, then let me know if you recognize that.
Yes, I do.
Or what is that?
It is a teal color folder that was on top of the freezer.
And it has some paperwork in it.
Yes, it does.
Now, the paperwork that's in it now, is that the same paperwork that was in it when you encountered it back on January 23rd, 2018?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And when you encountered this, was it there in close proximity to pin marker D?
Yes, it is.
And as we see it on pin marker D, is that exactly where it was as it lie when y'all began to investigate?
Yes, it is.
All right, I want to turn your attention to State's Exhibit 88 for identification. You recognize that item?
Yes, I do.
And what is that item?
It's a blue and white rope that was suspended from the garage rafter.
Okay. And when you found it, was it tied?
Yes.
How did you remove it?
We cut it.
Okay. Other than that, is it still tied in the same fashion as when you retrieved it?
Yes.
And could you look at same or substantially similar condition?
Yes.
And when you had collected back on January 23rd, 2018?
Yes.
Judge, at this time, the state would like to move State's Exhibit 88 into evidence.
Any objection?
No, ma'am.
All right, will be so moved.
Judge, permission to publish?
You may.
And actually, if you could take that one out and walk it. Sure, you can see. And Judge, maybe we can set that?
Yes, absolutely.
Set that there. I don't have any more questions, Judge.
Bench, cross.
No question.
All right, again, you may step down. Thank you. I assume you remain under your subpoena, but you're free to leave the courthouse. State, call your next witness.
State calls Dr. Noel Palma.
All right, Dr. Palma. Good afternoon, Dr. Palma. Please step to the podium right there. Give us a moment. right hand, be sworn by the clerk.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the evidence you are about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
All right, doctor, please have a seat. While he's having a seat, can I have the lawyer's bench, please? All right, ladies and gentlemen, when the lawyers or parties agree that certain facts are true, that is called a stipulation of fact. You must accept the stipulated fact as having been proven. However, the significance of these facts, as well as all facts, is for you to decide. In this case, the stipulated facts that you must accept as true are, and it's in writing, signed by everyone, so it'll go back with you in the jury room. The undersigned counsels for the respective parties hereby stipulate and agree to the following. The body of Edward Lee Tudor was examined by Dr. Noel Palma of the Medical Examiner's Office in the 6th Circuit on January 24th of 2018. So this will go back, and the doctor's here to testify. All right, state your name, proceed.
Thank you, Judge. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Would you please introduce yourself to the jury, and will you spell your first and last name for the court reporter?
Good afternoon. I'm Dr. Noel Palma, Noelpalma. I am a forensic pathologist working as an associate medical examiner for the District 6 Medical Examiner's Office, serving Manila and Pasco counties.
And would you mind telling the jury what exactly the medical examiner's office is?
All right. Medical examiner in Florida, we are dictated with the Florida Statutes Chapter 46, and our main job is to determine the cause and manner of death. In Florida, medical examiners are forensic pathologists.
Is it similar to what some states would refer to as a coroner?
Yes, sir.
And could you tell the jury what your training and experience is that qualifies you for this job?
All right. I obtained my medical degree in the Philippines. I came over and took and passed all the board exams in order to be accepted in a residency program here. After my boards, I applied for my training residency in pathology, anatomic pathology, and clinical pathology. I got accepted at St. John's Hospital Medical Center in Detroit, Michigan. After that, I took and passed my boards given by the American Board of Pathology, specializing in both specialties in anatomic pathology and clinical pathology. After my boards, I opted for a subspecialized training in forensic pathology at the Wayne County Medical Examiner's Office in Detroit, Michigan. And then after my training, I took and passed my boards given by the American Board of Pathology, subspecializing in forensic pathology. I completed my training and boards, and I had my first job in Palm Beach County, and stayed there for 2 years and came here in 2011, and I've been in practice for about 20 years.
And as an associate medical examiner, what are your duties?
My main job is to determine the cause and manner of death by doing autopsies.
And when you perform an autopsy, will you walk the jury through what the general process is?
Okay, so when we receive the call from the police agencies, hospitals, we are going to determine whether it's a medical examiner case. And then when the body comes to our office, we will get the height, the weight, we will take the pictures, x-rays, depending on the case, and then I will proceed with the postmortem examination by dissecting each organ. In this particular case, follow the wound tracks.
Now, in this particular case, did you examine the body of Edward Lee Tudor?
Yes, sir.
And was that done on January 24th, 2018?
Yes, sir.
And did you first do an external examination?
Yes, sir.
Could you tell the jury, could you kind of walk them through what you observed externally?
Let's start with the head.
Right, so get a height, weight.
Okay, sorry, go ahead.
All right, so the height is 71 inches, weight is 165 pounds.
And what did you do next?
In this case, we took multiple pictures and then followed by next set of pictures and followed by X-rays.
And you also prepared a diagram documenting any injuries that you observed on the body.
Yes, sir.
And in this particular case, did you do that?
Yes.
Your Honor, may I approach what has been marked for identification purposes in States 89?
You may.
Doctor, could you tell us what this is?
All right, so this is a diagram I created last page of my report, 6 out of 6.
And it has an abbreviation on here, several places, GSW. Could you tell us what that
That's
means?
gunshot wound.
And what are we looking at in this diagram?
Here you can see the entrance gunshot wounds, the exit gunshot wound, and where the bullet was recovered.
And it's a true and accurate copy of the diagram that you prepared.
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, this one we would like to move this in as States 89.
Any objection? All right. Coming in States 89.
Your Honor, we would also like to publish.
You may. You're going to use Elmo or just?
I was just going to pass it down. Now, Doctor, this diagram, it shows 4 entrance wounds and 3 exit wounds. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Let's first talk about the entrance wound and the exit wound on the head.
Okay.
What can you tell us about that?
All right, so the entrance gunshot wound to the right back of the head was located about 2 inches behind the right external ear. The bullet perforated.
Yes, sir, please.
So the bullet perforated the right occipital bone, fractured that right occipital bone, perforated the brain, perforated and fractured the left frontal bone, and the bullet exited at the left lateral forehead region at the level of the left eyebrow. The direction of the wound track was from back to front, right to left, and slightly upward. There was no bullet recovered from this wound track. This injury was associated with extensive craniocerebral injuries with skull fractures and injuries to the brain.
And how do you determine what is the entrance wound and what is the exit wound?
Generally, the entrance wound is a round injury. It's almost like a punch-out lesion.
And in this particular injury, would this have caused substantial damage to Mr. Tudor?
Yes, sir.
Is this an injury that Mr. Tudor would have survived?
No.
Your Honor, may I approach what has been marked for identification in States 90 and 91?
You may.
Doctor, can you tell us what these 2 photographs are?
All right, so this photograph here shows the entrance gunshot wound in the back of the right. And this second picture here showing the exit gunshot wound on the left lateral forehead region.
And are these true and accurate photos of how Mr. Tudor's head appeared when you examined him?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, this time we would like to move these into evidence in States 90 and 91.
Any objection? Will be so moved.
And just for the record, all of these have been shown in evidence. Your Honor, may we publish it this time?
You may.
Doctor, it states 90, what you described as the entrance wound,
Yes.
and it states 91, the exit wound.
Yes, sir.
Doctor, if we continued down the body from the head, there was another gunshot wound on your diagram on the upper chest. Can you tell the jury about that?
The next gunshot wound was on the right upper chest region, located about 2 inches above the medial to the right nipple. The bullet perforated the right lung, perforated the heart, perforated the thoracic aorta and fractured the T12 vertebra or the 10th thoracic vertebra. And the bullet was recovered in the soft tissue surrounding the thoracic vertebra. The direction was from front to back, right to left, and downwards.
Well, the damage that you just described, is that damage that you would consider significant?
Yes, sir.
Is that damage you would expect a person to survive?
No.
Your Honor, may we approach with what has been marked for identification as states 92 and 93?
Okay.
Doctor, can you tell us what we're looking at in these two photographs?
All right, so you can see the gunshot wound to the right upper chest, the gunshot wound to the right lower chest, and an X-ray of the bullet at the thoracic vertebra.
And are both of these pictures true and accurate representations of what you observed on January 24th, 2018?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, this time we'd like to move these in as states 92 and 93.
Any objection? So moved.
Your Honor, may I publish?
Okay.
Now, Doctor, you said that the photograph of the chest, which is states 92, contains 2 entrance wounds. Which entrance wound are you discussing at this time?
The one higher,
This
upper
one.
thoracic.
And on the X-ray, could you give the jury some idea of exactly what we're looking at here? Is this the spinal column?
Yes,
And is this the rib cage that's faintly visible?
yes.
And that unusual mark there is the bullet.
Yes.
Thank you. Now, as part of your autopsy, doctor, you actually removed that projectile that is located next to the spine.
Yes, sir.
And did you do that in this case?
Yes, sir.
Did you send it in as evidence?
Yes.
And Your Honor, I'd like to approach with what has been marked for identification states 94.
Right, and approach.
And we also will need the scissors because the interior now is not.
I'm not in charge of scissors. That's my work.
Doctor, could you tell us what this is?
All right, so this is an evidence, sealed envelope containing projectile.
And is that the projectile that you removed from the body of Edward Lee Tudor?
Yes, sir.
And if you would mind opening up the interior bag, it's not yet been opened, but the exterior bag has. If you'd like. Would you look at it and confirm that that is in the same or substantially similar condition as when you removed it?
Yes. Here's my signature.
Yes, sir, please.
Here.
Just the very top. Yes, sir, please. And that is the same bullet that you removed.
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, this time we would like to move this in as states 94.
Any objections?
Go ahead.
So moved.
Your Honor, may I publish?
You may.
Doctor, if you continue down in your diagram, there is another entry to the chest that you've referenced, but we haven't discussed yet.
Yes, the next gunshot wound was located on the right lower chest, located about 2.5 inches below and to the left of the right nipple. This wound, or the bullet, perforated the skin and soft tissue of the right chest, the skin and soft tissue of the left chest, and the bullet exited at the left lateral thorax. The wound track was from right to left, front to back, and downwards. This gunshot wound, the bullet did not injure any of the internal thoracic organs. There's no injury associated with this gunshot wound.
Now, if he had received appropriate medical treatment and that were his only injury, would he have been expected to survive?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, may I approach what has been marked for ID as states 95?
Certainly.
Could you tell us what this is, Doctor?
All right, so here is the exit gunshot wound we were just discussing. And here is an entrance gunshot wound in the left anterior forearm.
And is this a true and accurate photograph depicting how Edward Tudor appeared on January 24th, 2018?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, this time we'd like to move this in as states 95.
Any objection? Be so moved.
Doctor, going back to states 92, is this lower wound the one we're discussing right now?
Yes, sir.
And in states 95, the wound to the chest is what we're discussing?
Yes.
Your Honor, may I publish?
Okay.
Doctor, the last gunshot wound that is documented on your diagram appears to be to the arm. What could you tell us about that?
The entrance gunshot wound to the left proximal forearm was located about 4 inches below the elbow joint. The bullet went through the skin and soft tissue of the left forearm, fractured the underlying bone, and exited at the posterior aspect of the same forearm about 2 inches below the elbow joint. The direction was from front to back and slightly outwards.
Now, if that had been the only gunshot wound and if Mr. Tudor had received appropriate medical treatment, would you expect him to survive that injury?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, may I approach what's been marked for ID, states 96.
You may.
Doctor, could you tell us what this is?
Right, so here is the exit gunshot wound in the back of the left forearm.
And is this a true and accurate representation of what you observed on January 24th, 2018?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, this time we'd like to move this in as states 96.
Any objection?
No.
All right. Will be so moved.
Your Honor, may I publish?
You may.
Doctor, on states 95, you referenced a moment ago that there is a wound to the arm.
Yes.
And is that the entrance wound?
Yes, sir.
And on states 96, is that the exit wound?
Yes, sir.
Now, you mentioned that fractured bone in the arm. Did you take an x-ray of that?
Yes, sir.
And did you document that with a photograph or an image of that x-ray?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, may I show them what's been marked as for ID states 97?
You may.
Could you tell us what that is?
Okay, so here is the x-ray of the left forearm, and you can see a fractured left radial bone right here.
And is fractured another way of saying commonly referred to as broken?
Yes, sir.
And did it appear as though that broken bone or fractured bone was the result of the bolt?
Yes.
And is it true and accurate representation of what you observed?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, we'd like to move this in states 97.
Any objection? All right. It will be so moved. 97.
And Your Honor, may I publish?
You may.
Doctor, you referenced earlier that part of your job is to determine a manner of death.
Yes, sir.
Could you tell the jury what that means?
Well, so as medical examiners, we determine the cause of death and the manner of death. So the manner of death is an opinion based on the circumstances surrounding the death of the decedent, including the autopsy findings and any ancillary procedures. There are 5 classifications of manner of death. We have accidental death, traffic, typical for traffic-related deaths, they are accidental death or drug-related cases. We have natural deaths, these are manner natural. Typical example will be myocardial infarct. And then we have homicidal manner of death, in which someone is killed by someone. We have suicide, when somebody kills themselves, like hanging. And the last one is undetermined manner of death, in which we do not know what happened in the case. The best example will be a completely skeletonized human remains that there's no soft tissue and we do not know what happened in the case.
Now, in this particular case, were you able to determine the manner of death?
Yes, sir.
And what is that?
Homicide.
And you've also mentioned cause of death.
Yes, sir.
Could you explain to the jury what that means?
Cause of death is the findings of why the patient died. Example would be myocardial infarct or stroke or any kind of cancer.
And in this particular case, what is the cause of death?
Multiple gunshot wounds.
And is there any doubt in your mind as to that cause of death?
No.
Your Honor, just one moment.
You may.
And Doctor, on the 2 injuries that caused substantial damage to Mr. Tudor, the gunshot wound to the head and to the upper chest. Let's talk about the head first. How long would you expect Mr. Tudor to survive after that gunshot wound?
Not survive.
Any period of time or almost instantaneous?
You die quick.
And what about the gunshot wound to the chest?
If you have that injury to your right lung and to the heart and thoracic aorta, you will die at the scene, but not as quick as the gunshot wound to the head.
Okay. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you.
We have any questions, Judge?
Ben, Cross?
I have no question.
Dr. Palma, thank you very much, sir. You're free to go. I know you have a lot of long drive back. State, any problem releasing him from his subpoena?
No, he's released, Judge.
Defense, any problem? All right, he's released. State, call your next witness.
State calls Jennifer Michelon.
Michael.
Michelon. I believe it's M-I-C-H-E-L. I'll have to confirm that she can.
Good afternoon, ma'am. If you can step to the podium where the microphone is for me. You want to raise your right hand. You sworn by my clerk.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the evidence you are about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. All right. Please have a seat in the witness stand, speak in a loud and clear voice for me. State, you may proceed.
Thank you, Judge. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Would you please introduce yourself to the jury and will you spell your last name for the court reporter?
My name is Jennifer Michelon, M-I-C-H-E-L-O-N.
And Ms. Michelon, what do you do for a living?
I'm a crime laboratory analyst in the Firearms section of the Tampa Bay Crime Laboratory at FDLE, the Florida Department of Law Enforcement.
How long have you been doing that?
I've been a crime laboratory analyst for the past 10 years.
And could you tell the jury what your duties are as a crime laboratory analyst?
My main duties are to determine whether or not ammunition components, such as bullets and cartridge cases, have been fired from a specific firearm or the same firearm, muzzle to object distance determination, serial number restoration, database entry. I also train other members of the section, and I also do firearm functional safety testing.
And would you mind telling us your training experience that qualifies you to do this job?
I have a bachelor's degree in chemistry from the University of South Florida. I also completed an 18-month training program at FDLE under the supervision of a certified crime laboratory analyst in firearms. also teach a portion of the course at the University of Tampa, and I do train other members of the section.
And let's go ahead and talk about the exact reason that you are here today. Did you receive items of evidence under Pasco County case number 18-03018 to evaluate?
Yes, I did.
And did you specifically receive items labeled HC7, HC8, and HC19?
Please refer my notes.
Yes, please.
Did you say HC7, HC8, and HC19?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I did.
And let's talk about each one of these real quick. They're already in evidence. I'm just going to bring them up to you. Quickly look at these, just to refresh your memory as to what they are. And tell us what each one is. The nags are open to you.
Bags contain 2 fired cartridge cases and 1 fired bullet.
And the cartridge cases, would that be the metal piece that stays behind when the bullet leaves?
That is the portion of the ammunition that is like a cartridge. A cartridge consists of a cartridge case, a bullet, propellant powder, and a primer. And after a cartridge is fired, typically the cartridge case will be ejected. If you have a pistol, the cartridge case will be ejected from the firearm.
I'm showing you now what is already in evidence that states 60. Do you recognize this firearm?
Yes, I
And is this a firearm that you examined as part of this case?
did. Yes, I did.
Now, with these 3 items, the 2 casings, the projectile, and then also the firearm, so there's 4 items, did you do any sort of comparison to see if the casing and the projectile came from that particular firearm?
Yes, I did.
Could you tell the jury in general how that process works?
When I receive evidence, the first thing I do is I make sure I have the correct evidence. And then after I do that, I open it, and then I begin the testing. On a firearm, the first thing I would do is check to see the caliber, the make, the model, the serial number. I would check for its safety. I would also check to see where the extractor and ejector are located in the firearm. And then I also will look down the barrel to make sure that it is safe to fire. And I also check for the rifling. The rifling are those spiral grooves that you see down the barrel of the firearm. I'll check to see how many of those there are, and I will also check the direction of that twist. After I do that, I will then take the firearm into the firearm section's range, and I will test fire the gun into a water tank, and then I will collect those test fires. I will then use those test fires to compare against any ammunition components that I received in the case. In this case, I received a bullet and 2 cartridge cases, so I will compare the bullets from the test fires that I test fired, and I will also compare the cartridge cases.
Now, when you say you compare them, how do you do that?
I compare them on a comparison microscope, which is 2 microscopes that are connected together by an optical bridge that allow me to see 2 objects at the same time at the same magnification.
And what are you looking for?
When I look at them under the microscope, I'm looking to see the individual characteristics. Those are those unique markings that are left behind by the firearm. They're unique to the firearm. They're caused by the manufacturing process of the firearm or use, abuse, erosion, corrosion. And I'm looking to see if those patterns that I see on the test fires are also found on the evidence exhibits.
And if it matches, you're able to determine if a particular projectile was fired from a particular gun.
If I see the same pattern, yes, I can determine that.
And what about the shell casings? How do you evaluate those?
I determine that they're the same caliber, and then I determine if they have the same type of characteristics, such as the firing pin shape, what type of marks I see on the primer portion of the cartridge case, are they straight lines? Are they shapes? Are they little circles? I need to make sure that those agree before I'll compare them, and if they do agree, I do compare them.
And does each firearm essentially leave its own unique marks on the shell casings?
Yes, it does.
And does it leave its own unique marks on the projectiles?
Yes, it will.
And in this particular case, what were you able to determine about the projectile in relation to that particular firearm?
I determined that the projectile was fired from the firearm.
And what about the shell casings?
I determined that they were fired in the firearm.
Now I'm going to approach and show you what's already in evidence. It states 20, states 49, and states 24. Would you mind taking a look at these? That's right. Situation will fix them up, but otherwise that's fine. Now, are these shell casings?
Yes, they are.
And do those shell casings all appear to be the same type?
They all appear to be the same caliber, yes.
And could you tell us about the stamping that is on shell casings?
When manufacturers will create the cartridge case, they usually will put their brand or manufacturer and the caliber on the head stamp. So different manufacturers will have different types of head stamps that go on the cartridge case. And they will also typically include the caliber.
And these particular shell casings, do they include the caliber?
Yes, they do.
And is a 9mm looper on the bottom?
Yes, all of them say 9mm.
And are there additional markings inside of the shell casing?
Inside,
Yes, ma'am.
not that I can remember.
And these shell casings, are they the same type and same make as the shell casings that you compared to that firearm?
Yes, they're the same brand and caliber.
Now, this is going to be somewhat difficult to do with this being zip tied into the box, but it's actually been removed. It's not zip tied anymore. But you need to move it off. I realize this has a lock on it and it has a zip tie, so you're somewhat limited to what can be done with that firearm. However, would you mind, to the best that you can, explain to the jury how this particular gun works?
Yes. This is a semi-automatic pistol, which means with every pull of the trigger, one cartridge will be fired, meaning one bullet will go down the barrel and one cartridge case will be extracted and ejected from the firearm. In order to do so, you would first load a magazine. A magazine would be a little container that will contain the ammunition. That's the live ammunition that you see typically. So what you're going to do, you're going to insert the magazine right here at the base between the two grips. And once you've fully loaded it, if it was possible, you would pull back the slide to its rearward position and then release it. Once you release it, that first cartridge of the magazine is going to be loaded into the chamber portion, this back portion of the barrel of the firearm. Once it's closed, it is now ready to fire. In order to fire it, you would pull the trigger. Once the trigger is pulled, the primer will be hit by the firing pin. This will cause the explosion that detonates the powder. The powder will cause the bullet to go down the barrel, and at the same after it exits the barrel, the extraction happens by the slide being moved backward on its own, and it will extract and eject the cartridge case.
Now, that particular gun that you're holding, is that designed to expel a projectile by the action of an explosive?
Yes, it is.
And could you tell us the make and model of that gun you're holding?
This is a Taurus PT-111 G2 Millennium.
Thank you, ma'am. We have no further questions. Just want to go through the evidence and put it back in its packaging.
Ben, any questions?
No, ma'am.
All right, ma'am, you're free to step down. Is she released from her subpoena?
She is.
All right, ma'am, you're free to go. Ben, any objection to that?
No.
All right. Have the lawyers to the bench briefly. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's 5:09. We are done for today, all right? We do have a couple more witnesses in the morning, but we're moving on exactly on schedule. We haven't missed our schedule yet. So I'm going to have you again tomorrow morning at 9:30 in the jury pool room. I do have a very small calendar in the morning. I got to meet with the lawyers. I have you coming in 9:30. I'll have you up here by 10 with the witnesses on the witness stand, okay? You're going to go home with a lot more information tonight than you started out with. So again, I want to remind you, no going on Facebook and saying about, you're on trial. No texting, no tweeting, no blogging, no talking about the case with each other or any of your family members. Just tell them, you'll tell them all about it when it's done, okay? So at this time you're released, we have your cell phones for you, and we'll see you in the morning, okay? You can just leave them there, we'll put it in there. We'll make sure you have more, if you're at almost the end, if I'm almost at an end, we'll make sure you got another packet for tomorrow, okay? Just set them right there, we'll take care of them. You all, thank you very much, have a nice evening.
Sure, is that in here?
All right, anything else that we need to discuss tonight? All right, so we'll see you all in the morning, 9:30, okay?